Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Seriously,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
It's
Good
really
stuff.
grown, hasn't it?
It's exciting.
And most of these folks are your employees, right? I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
the vast majority are people who are close to
Correct.
us.
Yes.
How many of them are local versus somewhere else?
We have several that have traveled in for the day, but I don't. Sarah would have to tell you how many are local. I don't really know, but I know we have some that have traveled in for the meeting.
Cool. Yeah, well, you fill up a room. This thing's on.
Absolutely.
Well, that's always my fear. I like big events, but I always have a fear it's going to be an empty room. So,
Do you really?
I do.
I've never seen.
Like your socks. Well, Embassy Suites has like the majority of the parking spaces. Did you notice that? They've got the first, second, the first two floors, and then they even have some on the top. Thank you. Do you want to go ahead and start?
It's up to you. I mean, it's 10 after.
I think here she comes. Go ahead and start.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Cranford. I'm the Vice Chair of Coastal Horizons Board of Trustees. I'd like to welcome you to our annual meeting. It has been actually 3 years since we've had this meeting. So December of 2019 was the last time that we had an in-person meeting. So it's fabulous to have everyone here. So welcome. I'd like to start by introducing our head table, starting at the far right. Representative Frank Eiler is the North Carolina House of Representatives representing Brunswick County. Next is Flo Stein, retired Chief Community Policy Management, North Carolina Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities and Substance Abuse Services. Next, Representative Deb Butler. She's the House of Representatives representing Brunswick and New Hanover County. Next is Vice Chair of the New Hanover County Commissioners, Leanne Pierce. Margaret Weller Stargell, President and CEO of Coastal Horizons Center. Then we have Wilmington City Councilman Charlie Robinbart, District Attorney of New Hanover and Pender Counties, Ben David, the Honorable Judge Sandra Ray, District Court Judge for the 5th Judicial District serving Pender and New Hanover Counties. And last but certainly not least, New Hanover County Human Resources Analyst for Training and Development, Bo Dean. I'd also like to take a moment and welcome other VIPs that are in our audience. New Hanover County Commissioner Rob Zappel, Chief of Police of Chapel Hill and Coastal Horizons Board member Chris Blue, Assistant County Manager Tufana Bradley. We would also like to welcome Tony and Nikki Valvada. Tony is a founder of Save a Vet Now, established a scholarship program 2 years ago for veterans to receive free services at Coastal Horizons. Thank you, Tony, for your generous check you presented to Elizabeth Redenbaugh earlier this week. We do appreciate all you do for our veterans. Thank you. So now I would like to call Bo Dean up for our invocation. Immediately following, lunch will be served.
Welcome home. Good morning. Y'all, in my life, I've come to understand that I am the sum total of all the good, of all the people that have made it possible for me to stand here today. In recent years, as I've become a resilience educator, I've begun to study and understand adverse child experiences, trauma, and the effects that all of that has on our health and our lives. The disconnect that happens in the world when we would say, "What is wrong with you?" became a compassionate connection with that education of what happened to you. And then it's moved on to what's right with you. Amen? I have a tradition in my house in the holidays of preparing a very small white artificial tree that has little objects and reminders of the people that have taught me over the years lessons that I knew that were expressed in this way long before I knew that articulation. People that have passed on, but that have taught me over the years. My mother, my great-grandparents, and many, many friends are gathered in those objects on that little tree. One of the persons under that tree was Mrs. Weller, and is. Mama, as we all knew her affectionately, used to sit at this table right here every one of these dinners. And she sat there because she wanted to look up at her daughter and she wanted to give her encouragement and love for Margaret every time that she was in this room. And she told me a lot of different stories, but that's the reason, not only because of her love for her daughter, that she's under my tree. It's because I had a relationship with her, and she would sit there and she would tell me stories about generational trauma. But as much as she would tell me about that generational trauma, she would also tell me about generational resilience and about success. And her daughter was very much a part of that. Margaret once texted me after this dinner, after this lunch, and she said, "Thank you for always remembering my mama." Well, there is no thank you in remembering who helped to make us better people. There is no thank you in remembering who makes us who we are. So today we gather with all of you, and we gather with this body of Coastal Horizons who walk this path with all of those that make it possible for people to understand that what lives in their bodies and know what happened to them makes it possible to know that adversity is not destiny. That what is bound together in love and work and common mission helps us to create better lives and the strengths that live to help us to rise. Shall we pray? God of many names, together we thank you for this annual meeting of Coastal Horizons, the hundreds who gather, who are positive influence, set in the spirit that may be the change in trajectory for so many. Those who have compassion in their hearts, skills in their good, in their minds, and bodies ready to move towards the next right thing. We ask your blessing on this meeting and all the work that is done to create a more compassionate world for all who seek the offerings herein. May this food be in the nourishment of your body and the service of all that is good. In all of your holy names we pray. And everyone says, Amen.
I'm gonna put mine in there. You're not supposed to put it on the floor.
Good idea.
Ben's gonna talk to you about it too. Every day, we see the impact you have on people who come in to our course every day, and it's always for the better. So thank you so much. So please rise when I call your name and remain standing. Colin Hackman, Board Chair. Jennifer Cranford, Vice Chair. Chief Chris Blue, Secretary. Henry Cherry, Treasurer. Margaret Weller Stargell, President and CEO. Dr. Angela Ballantyne. Dr. Heather Braithwaite. Stephanie Dunn. Steve DiBiase. Y'all, I have a, Fair has given me phonics to pronounce some of these names. Dr. Kelly Evans. Shane Fernando. Holly Grange. Jimmy Hopkins. Dr. Jennifer Paley. Connie Parker. Tom Potratz, Nancy Scott Finan, sorry. All right. And I would now like to ask the 2022-2023 Coastal Horizons Center Board Officers and Trustees to please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I,
Louder. Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute my position
that I will faithfully execute my position
on the Board of Trustees
on the Board of Trustees
of Coastal Horizons Center, Inc.,
of Coastal Horizons Center, Inc.,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect, and uphold
protect, and uphold
its missions and bylaws,
its missions and bylaws,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. I'd like to introduce Representative Deb Butler and ask that all remaining speakers follow the order of the program, not in the order that you are seated. Thank you.
Well, hello, Coastal Horizons. It's certainly good to be here with you today. I want to welcome and thank you, of course, for your service to this wonderful place we all call home. You know, every time I come to a Coastal Horizons event or educational seminar, it seems to me that I learn about a new array of services or support that this organization lends. I say that to emphasize the breadth and the strength of the network that you all have built for our friends and neighbors when they find themselves in the most vulnerable of positions. What a comfort that is, really, to know that there is a team of committed and compassionate professionals who are prepared to guide and care for our citizens in this region when they need help and they do not know where to turn. During this holiday season, that truly is your gift to this community. That compassionate professionalism, of course, is a culture that doesn't come by itself. So, of course, I have to look to my immediate right and say that we always have to give a nod to Margaret Weller Stargell's leadership. But you all radiate that compassionate professionalism. It's a quality that radiates throughout the organization. And every time I meet someone who is affiliated with Coastal Horizons, I can feel that. So just in case you don't hear it often enough, what a wonderful gift you all are to this community. So I want to welcome you again. And as they say, brevity is the soul of wit. I was given 2 minutes and I still know how to count. So thank you again for your tremendous work that you're doing. And I apologize. I do have to make a hasty exit today. I'm trying to catch a plane. And it was only Elizabeth Redenbach who talked me in. Oh, where is she? There you go. Thanks, Elizabeth. But it's been my pleasure. Thank you, Coastal Horizons.
will just come up without introduction from here on out. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What can you say in 2 minutes? The speaker gives us 3 minutes, and Margaret and Farrah gave us 2 minutes. But my earliest memories, I think we had this meeting in a conference room. I'm not sure, it was a few years ago. I was just wondering how long it has been since I've been in touch with Coastal Horizons, and there was a bill that came up, I remember in 2011, and that's almost 12 years ago. I bet you can name the number on the bill. It's House Bill 100. It's going to be detrimental to some of our nonprofits who are very successful. And I looked it up. It was filed in February of 2011. It was laid to rest in the Rules Committee in June after we objected pretty heavily to what it was trying to do to our larger nonprofits. But this has been a blessing to the Wilmington area. And by the way, we're not in my district, but you can see it from here. Brunswick County, right across the water. There's a permanent location in Brunswick and one in Pender, and we always appreciate that. Where's the Brunswick County people? I usually try to recognize them. Okay. I see you're scattered. Okay. But thank you again. I was talking to Miss Stein. She must have started this thing when she was 5 years old. I think Margaret came when she was about 10 years old. But anyway, it's been a real blessing. I remember the earliest days meeting Margaret, Kenya House, and Farrah. Farrah is one of the most persistent people I've ever met. She asked me over and over again, "Are you sure you're going to make it?" And yes, I was fairly sure I was going to make it. So thank you very much for including me. And I was very, I've gone over my 2 minutes, so I'll have to pay the price. I think I'm using some of Deb Butler's time. But thank you everything for what y'all do. It's just fantastic having an organization like this. It's over a $50 million business, and the president, Storgill, Weller Storgill, has done a great job, and everybody in the organization, I appreciate what y'all do.
You and I were both 26 back then. We're 52 today, Coastal, but in 1996, you were 26. There was a young woman walking down the road. It was actually right across the river. There wasn't the Isabella Holmes Bridge yet. A man kept circling around her, finally stopped and said, "Ma'am, I could arrest you for jaywalking. Flashes a badge. You have two choices. I can take you to jail, or I can take you across the bridge to Hardee's where you can call your husband." He turned out to be a sadistic serial rapist. The man took her to what was at the time called Titanium Road, where he violently assaulted her. A jogger found her. Police arrived. She went to New Hanover Regional Medical Center, and that's where she met Coastal Horizons. You had a rape crisis center back then, thank God. She had the strength to go through that very invasive procedure. 3 days later, another young woman in her 20s named Amy Fief walked her into the Wilmington Police Department and said, "We want to go forward." That rape kit sat on the shelf for 25 years. Thanks to the legislature passing the Survivors Act 3 years ago, $6 million was appropriated to test those rape kits. WPD only had 523 of them to test. The man who was inside of that rape kit was a man I know all too well. We've convicted him of not one, not two, but 25 felonies through the years. Tim Iannone was just sentenced to prison for 51 years in that case on Tuesday. But I want to tell you a couple of things about that case that I think really are important today. The first is that, not only was Amy there with Michelle in 1996, she testified in this trial, and Chelsea Kroom and her team were in that trial for all 2 weeks. Can we give Rape Crisis a hand for what they do every day? And then Tim Iannone had many victims. If you've watched the news, you know what I'm talking about. There were 7 other women who said me too. But there was one young woman in particular named Sonia who should have been dead. He had picked her up and terrorized her in much the same way as Michelle. And I asked her, why are you alive when a couple of your friends are dead that we suspected Timothy Iannone of? And she said, drug treatment court saved my life. I actually send James Faison a Father's Day card now. And I have to tell you, because I know there are a number of you in this crowd who work with drug treatment, the work that I have seen in the 23 years that I have been a prosecutor in this town and 18 as your elected district attorney, I can't go anywhere now without running into people who I have met along this journey. And that's just the 50,000 traffic tickets you guys get each year. But my favorite run-in that I constantly get are from people who say, you know what, I was in a really bad way, and you guys just don't do justice, you do mercy at that courthouse. And it's the work of what's going on in this room that is saving lives, it's transforming lives. We are going to start a veterans treatment court in the next year. Are you guys excited about that? I sure am. And we are expanding community recovery court to now include mental health treatment and not just drug recovery. We pull that off here. Yeah, that's a good thing too. We pull that off here because of the relationships that exist in this room. That's what we've always run off of. I am not here to have a theoretical conversation. I have to speak for the dead in murder trials. I have to give victims a voice at the courthouse. There is no one I'd rather go into the battle with than Coastal Horizons. Thank you all for what you do all year long. Thank you so much.
Well, first, let me thank you for the opportunity to be here today. And I'm here to represent New Hanover County and my fellow county commissioners. And Commissioner Zappel is here and Assistant County Manager Stefana Bradley. And we're here today because we value the relationship between New Hanover County and Coastal Horizons. You know, we all fall on hard times in our lives. And you guys are there to say, we're not here to judge you, we're here to help you. And that's exactly what they need to hear during those hard times. If we can help just one person or one child or one family, we're a success. So we thank you for that. You know, our Father says, well done, my good and faithful servant. And you guys are doing that. You're making an impact on the lives of the citizens in our community. So there's no greater honor than that, and you're serving that. So I thank you. And I wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate during this season. I hope that you find peace and happiness and know that we appreciate everything that you do for New Hanover County. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I bring greetings from the city of Wilmington, and if you know Mayor Sapo, like I hope you do, he'd be here, but he's out of town. So I'm actually third string because Margaret couldn't be here either. You've heard so many wonderful things, and I have some nice bullet points to go over, but in the don't want to be redundant because you already know what this group does. You folks are the ones that do it. But I'm reminded of the movie that comes out every year, It's a Wonderful Life. And George Bailey, in a time of despair, admits his own self that he's not a praying man, but he's up against it, and he asks God to help him. So God sends him an angel. And during the course of their conversation, he says, I wish I'd never been born. So he granted him that. He'd never been born. And then he saw how bad it would be had he not been born. His brother would have died. The building and loan would have failed. It was horrible. So then he wanted to come back. He said, I'll take what's coming. I think about what would happen if Coastal Horizons had never happened. Think about that for a minute. It never happened. But I look out and it did happen, and I see angels out there. You're sitting at tables with angels because you make a difference in people's lives. You give them a better quality of life. You help heal them with God's help. So don't ever forget that. You're doing the most wonderful thing in the world. It's a divine calling. And this is either the smallest font that I've ever seen in print. I was looking for the names of some of my special friends that work with you all, but that's 5 columns of angels right there. And when you hug each other and you pat yourself on the back, that's the flutter of angel wings. Thank you for having me and enjoy yourself. Thank you for what you do.
The achievement and longevity of an organization like Coastal Horizons comes from the hard work and dedication of all involved, both past and present. Coastal Horizons Center has been fortunate to have had the leadership and service of Andy Jones on our board of trustees for 7 years. Although he could not be here today, I'd like to take a moment and recognize Andy's years of service. His leadership as board chair from 2019 to 2021 was incredible. We navigated through unprecedented pandemic, ongoing changes of our delivery of service to our patients and clients. And over the course of his board tenure, Andy contributed in numerous ways. He updated our bylaws, he improved our mission statement, and he was always available for legal counsel without charging us. We're very sad that Andy's tenure on the board has come to an end, but we say thank you for his 7 years of dedicated service. As a token of our appreciation, we will be gifting Andy a framed Mary Ellen Golden coastal watercolor print with the plaque that reads, Andy Jones, Coastal Horizons Center Incorporated, Board of Trustees, 2015 through 2022, December 15th, 2022. Thank you.
Wow, can you believe that we're here after all of those years that we've had to be virtual? It's really, really a pleasure to be back in this room and with everyone. I know Farah and Jennifer and probably my friend Tim, who works with me with the Starter Foundation, are going to cringe when I say I'm going off script for a minute. But I promise I'm going to stay on time. But, you know, as I was sitting and listening to our head table make their remarks and think about what we do at Coastal Horizons, I truly am. I'm in awe and amazed every time I sit in a room like this and listen to this organization that is near and dear to my heart. Because we do amazing work. I'm going to be talking about our staff that have been with us for a number of years in just a few moments. But you know, I'm stopping for a moment to think about and remember when this pandemic came about and none of us could anticipate it or expect it. We had to quickly figure out what we were going to do to continue to meet the needs of those we serve. Coastal Horizons is an organization that provides services to people face to face. And so how are we going to shift and go to virtual platforms and make that work seamlessly? Well, we did without missing a beat, and it's because of the staff. Coastal Horizons is defined by its staff. And I'm going to say this and then I'll get back on track. You are the reason Coastal Horizons is as successful as it is. You are the reason that people walk through our doors every day and have a sense of hope that they can have a better tomorrow. And so I thank you. And I want to say, you've seen me in the media, you've seen me at the state, and I want you to know, staff, I will continue to support you, defend you, and yes, even when necessary, take off my earrings and go to the mat. Now it is that time for me to get back on track and recognize the members of our staff at Coastal Horizons. The annual meeting and holiday luncheon provides us with an opportunity to recognize and celebrate our amazing staff members and their years of service. For it is their earnest commitment and dedication to the clients and patients we serve that make us the leader of behavioral health services in Eastern North Carolina. And so I am so honored to recognize them today. I want to begin by acknowledging a group of individuals that I have the privilege of working with every single day. That is an incredible group of leaders that I call our management team. As I call your name, please stand. And they are Bill Van Loo, Chief Financial Officer, Karen Chappell, Executive Vice President of Operations, Eric Lutner, Vice President of Medical Services and Corporate Compliance, Kenny House, Vice President of Clinical Services, Bob Jalbert, Vice President of Human Resources, Lindsay Joins, Quality Improvement Training Director, Steve Tiedemann, Chief Information Officer, Jennifer Burns, Controller, Brianne Winterton, Crisis Intervention Services Director, Elizabeth Redenbaugh, Development Director, and last but certainly not least, Sarah Boyce Foy, Executive Assistant to the CEO. Thank you, management team. I'm also very excited to share some news with you today, as we will have a new member joining us on our management team, or shall I say, returning to our management team. Some of you know that we have been looking at hiring a chief operating officer. And I am very pleased to announce today that Ryan Estes will be returning as our chief operating officer. Ryan can't be here today because he's got a few things he's got to wrap up before he comes and really hits the ground running with us. He did have an opportunity to spend time with our board on Tuesday night following our board meeting. But I know that you all are thrilled, as am I, that Ryan will be coming back home. Now it is that time to give out our service pen recognitions as we recognize individuals that have been with the organization for a number of years. As Coastal Horizons celebrates almost 53 years in operation, it too is a time to celebrate our incredible and conscientious staff who are boots on the ground every single day. Our patients and clients are served by qualified, committed, and caring staff who provide a continuum of excellence and quality services. The individuals who are about to be recognized have been employed with Coastal Horizons for 5 years. We recognize individuals in increments of 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. We recognize them with a pen and or plaque and say thank you for their years of service. So again, I'm recognizing those individuals who have been with us for 5 years. And if you will, please hold your applause until I've called every name. And I'm just going to say, Judge Sandra Ray earlier was trying to make sure she pronounced names correctly. Farrah has worked with me too, but if I botch something up, fuss at me later. Believe me, I understand. I'm sometimes called Margaret Weller, but sometimes I'm called Margaret Wheeler. And sometimes I'm called Frances Weller, but I'm Margaret Weller. So I do understand you want your name called out correctly. Ellie Acevedo, class. I'm going to do that again. Ellie Acevedo, class. Gail Beese, Angela Booth. And if you're here, please stand as I'm calling your name. Lauren Britton, Ruth Cox, Brianna Crawford, Matt Daniel, Janie Dowler, Ashley Drew, Reginald Edwards, Charles Gabriel, James Glasgow. That's right, she wants you to come forward, not just stand. As Representative Olive says, Farrah can give some orders, and she is like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to tell me to come forward. So please come forward. Binga James Glasgow, Amanda Hellman, Kimberly Hogan, Yasin Holland, Margaret Jazaria, Christine Jimenez, Chelsea Johnson, Matthew Clerks, Kelly Long, April McCoy, Jerome Melvin, Quentin Moore, Amanda Peters, Christy Pearson, Alexis Sardella, Akila Shaw, Molly Souther, Michael Walton, Timothy Webb, and Sharon Williams. Please join me in congratulating these employees on 5 years. Thank you, everyone, for your years of service and dedication to Coastal Horizons. John Davis will give me the clue when it's like, okay, they're done. And he's saying not done. All right, thank you again. Now I would like to recognize those individuals who have been with us for 10 years at Coastal Horizons. Again, please hold your applause until I've called out their names. Kate Breshnahan Steele, Kristen Howard, Sarah Jablonski, and if you're here, please start coming forward. Jennifer Kraft, Anna Lester, Tricia Morrill, Deborah O'Neill, Stephen Riemann, Kelly Williamson, and Amanda Young. Please join me in congratulating these employees on 10 years of service. going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to continue and I'm going to ask those who have been with us for 15 years, if you will make your way up here to my left, your right. Again, these are individuals who have been with us for 15 years. I'm looking at you, Helen Daniels. Helen is our medical technician. Heidi Early, task care manager. Aaron Detta, assistant prevention director. And Bob Dalbert, vice president of human resources. And here's Bob. Bob, you work out all the time. Pick it up. Thank you, Helen and Bob, for 15 years of service. Next, we are going to recognize two individuals who have been with us for 20 years. Meredith Ross, who is our Prevention Administrative Support and Logistics Manager. Meredith Ross started at Coastal Horizons as a part-time employee on the Outdoor Adventure Course. She went on to become the Outdoor Adventure Coordinator for many years and even trained some of the current generation of now full-time staff. She graduated from the Governor's Academy of Prevention Professionals and is a certified prevention specialist. Meredith was also a certified first aid and CPR instructor for the organization and trained hundreds of staff in those vital skills. She was instrumental in updating the Alpine Tower so that it is accessible to those with mobility challenges, including accessible pathways and ramps at the Outdoor Adventure Course. Meredith has also previously been recognized by her peers with the annual Flow Sign Award. Please join me in congratulating Meredith on 20 years of service. And though he cannot be with us today, our other staff person who's been with us for 20 years is Justin Lutmer, who is our Task Training Institute Technical and Creative Services Specialist. And I just want to tell you briefly a bit about him. Justin started with the Coastal Horizons Task Training Institute in 2002 as a Technical and Creative Services Specialist. He creates and maintains all of Coastal Horizons web pages, including the numerous pages at the Training Institute. These pages have remained online and virus-free, thanks to Justin's constant vigilance against hackers. In addition to the website work, he writes curriculum, builds online training modules, creates and edits video, and builds databases. If he didn't already know how, he found the resources and learned. The director of the Task Training Institute says that there has never been a technical or creative task that Justin couldn't complete. Please join me in congratulating Justin Lutmer on 20 years. We next recognize three individuals who've been with Coastal Horizons for 25 years. Kevin is also not able to be with us today. And I'm going to stop and say for a moment, for some who are not able to be here today, they can't be in larger crowds as we see a spike in COVID and the flu. Travelin was exposed to COVID, so she is not able to be with us today, but I want to tell you a bit about her as well. She is our office manager for our New Hanover Task Program. Travelin joined Coastal Horizons in 1997. She began her employment as a task office assistant, later being promoted to task office manager for New Hanover County. In 2020, Trevlin expanded her role to include providing administrative support across regions 1 and 2 of TASK. Over the past few years, Trevlin has developed a knack for enthusiastically providing organizational updates during the monthly all-staff meetings. Please join me in saying congratulations to Trevlin on 25 years. We also recognize Steve Klein, Information Technologies Coordinator for Justice Services. Steve started as a task care manager in 1997. He would later transition to an IT position in Justice Services, providing IT support to all 53 counties served by Justice Services. He has been an integral part of TASK and the provision of IT support while also developing a calendar link for scheduling of individuals from probation to TASK. Steve never hesitates to make himself available, even when traveling across the state, to assist staff with IT needs so that services are never interrupted. Congratulations, Steve Klein, on 25 years of Coastal. Next, we recognize Christy Pelletier for 25 years at Coastal Horizons. Christy started with Coastal Horizons in 1997 and has fulfilled many roles since that time. In her current position as software training specialist, she provides an invaluable service to our staff. She ensures new staff are familiar with and are able to navigate our electronic medical record system, as well as other electronic platforms we use. I will tell you that Christy has come to my office before to talk about pets and animals and other work-related matters, but she has never come to me for advice on electronic platforms. Christy, thank you for 25 years of service. And finally, on recognizing people for years of service, we are recognizing someone today for 45 years of service to Coastal Horizons. Eric Lutman, if you will make your way forward, please. Eric Lutman is the Vice President of Medical Services and Corporate Compliance. He was hired in 1977 as the Crisis Intervention Coordinator for what was known then as New Hanover Drug Abuse Committee, as the Program Director for Crisis Line Open House. Eric served as an original charter member representing Coastal Horizons as the only contract organization for the initial implementation of North Carolina Treatment Outcomes and Performance Pilot Studies, also known as NCTOPS. He became the medical records manager in 1984 and created the first computerized data management system for our organization. Eric later served as interim executive director for the agency from 1990 to 1991. He became deputy director of the organization in 1991 and assistant executive director in 1993. He became medical services and quality assurance director in 1994 and again now serves as Vice President of Medical Services and Corporate Compliance. Dedicated and hardworking, Eric generally works 6 days a week. And I'm not kidding, he works 6 days a week. I think that's too much, but Eric has for 45 years never seen it that way. If he doesn't know an answer immediately, most of us in this room know. He will find it. He will find the correct one within an hour. For those of us who have been with the organization for a while, even before the days of putting everything on the computer, we can remember getting the red ink documents. Now, for those of you that are new to us, you should be glad you don't get the red ink documents, because when we got the red ink documents, something was wrong, and we needed to correct it, and we needed to correct it quickly. I got a few of those, Eric. I graciously say thank you to Eric for 45 years of unwavering, unparalleled, dedicated service to Coastal Horizons. Eric, we hope you will accept this award, which reads, Eric Lutmer, an appreciation for 45 years of service to Coastal Horizons Center Incorporated, December 15th, 2022. And we also hope that you will accept these gifts from your family and friends at Coastal Horizons as a small gesture of our appreciation for all that you do. Sure. I don't know if you need this mic. Hold on, Eric. I don't know how to take it off.
Some of our beginnings with our organization, this takes us way back to the New Hampshire Rotary Committee, as well as some of the other name changes we've had. But I want to call your attention to how far we've come. And to reference that, I need to get close time to jog her memory that 1 year we had our annual meeting with the board in a Chinese restaurant. Right? Yep. And so I know there are a lot of faces out there that I cannot connect names to, but I appreciate everything that you have done for this organization and to recognize what it means to show up every day. Think every day off every once in a while. But to also realize that no matter what happened yesterday, you show up the next day. And if you anticipate that your day at work is going to get challenged, you face that challenge head on. And at the end of the day, you can tell yourself that you accomplished something that makes you feel good and that you helped someone. Thank you.
Thank you again, Eric. Speaking of Flo Stein, we are about to present the Flo Stein Award. But before we do, I'd like to ask Flo to come up to make a few remarks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I beg to be able to do a few remarks. Good to see you, Connie. I want to say something a little bit different about Coastal Horizons than you might have heard. It's about what Coastal Horizons does for us. We do a lot for other people, but for those of us who have had the opportunity to work at Coastal Horizons and work with the board and the staff, it is something that sometimes you cannot even measure how important it is in your life. So I was grateful for the opportunity to work here and for the support of the board and the staff and the communities, the 3 counties, and now the multiple counties that we serve. My first real job was at Coastal Horizons, then whatever the old names were that Eric mentioned. But that's only if you're not counting when I worked at the A&W root beer stand in the state of Washington in high school. That was really my first job. So this was my second job. And this program taught me how to be a community member, how to learn new skills, how to keep trying to grow, and trying to solve problems. I said the other day, I'm not part of solving problems anymore, and I don't really like that. Some of you know my daughter. She used to hang out at the office when she was a little girl. She went to Wrightsville Beach School. You know, they have 4 grades. She was a tiny little thing, but now she's an attorney in Chapel Hill. She works on appeals for people who are in our programs. There are always people who have been in our programs who are needing assistance to make sure we're getting appropriate justice. But what I want to thank you for today is for what you all did for my husband. Deanna, I don't know if Deanna's here, and Margaret and the board and some of the staff of the prevention program honored him 3 weeks ago by dedicating the memorial garden out at the outdoor adventure course. That was really nice. Some of you know him, some of you don't. His name is Worth Bolton. He was a Vietnam veteran. When he came back from Vietnam, he was an Army Ranger, very high-class military man. Had done a lot of things. He had a Purple Heart. He had 2 Bronze Stars, but he had a hard time coming back in the community, and there were stumbles. But one of the things this program did for him is let him build the outdoor adventure course. And I thought, how does he know how to build an outdoor adventure course? And then I realized he built one in Vietnam for the training of Korean Rangers. And I saw a picture the other day, one of his friends sent me of him building the high wall, just like we have out there, except it was higher. But that was really, really nice to have him remembered that way. Some of his friends who were there and some of the people who helped build that course said, boy, he would have loved to hear this, because everybody was being really nice about it. And I said it kept him out of a lot of trouble, because he was out there not only building it, but then facilitating it for years and years. He loved working out there in the woods. So I want to thank you for remembering him. It was really important to me that we think about it, and I'm really glad to hear about the Veterans Court. I am the founder of the Governor's Working Group on the military veterans and their families. It's been going on now for 12 years, and we try to make North Carolina friendly for veterans and making sure we can keep as many as possible when they leave to prevent suicide, to get them into care. We have a new Veterans Life Center out in Butner for homeless veterans. So we're working really hard, and I appreciate all of you who are veterans and who have served, and for Coastal Horizons for recognizing the contribution, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Flo. I will tell you all, many of you know Flo, have known her over the years, but it's no surprise why we always have the annual Flo Stein Award. Flo's very modest. She will tell you that this was her first job, but she was the first director of this organization. She was the visionary behind this organization. She was my first boss, and I can tell you, I am very thankful that she continues to be involved with us. Please don't think, Flo, that you're not able to problem solve anymore because you're retired. You know, I have you on speed dial. People at the state are acting up, I call you, and I'll continue to do so. Again, though, we come to the final award for this afternoon, and that is to recognize an individual who really embodies the person that Flo Stein is, who has perseverance, who's hardworking, who wants to be able to make sure that we fulfill our mission every day, staying focused with our vision and purpose to assist the most vulnerable people in our communities. And it's so for that reason that we established the Flo Stein Award. I'm going to ask individuals to please stand who were nominated by their peers. And if you will hold your applause as I call their names, they are Gail Beese, Malachi Bennett, Ashley Durr, Clayton Gruber, Aaron Jackson, Wilma Jarvis, Amanda King, Yashia Lindsay, Billy McGowan, Renee McLaughlin, Liz Mackley, Angela Melvin, Jason Myers, Jamie Perkle, Katie Rivenbark, Stephanie Robinson, Candace Small, Brandon Smith, Veranda Strout, and Nadine Williamson. Congratulations to all of our Healthline Award nominees. You truly are all winners. Your peers' remarks about you and in support of you and what you do every day is certainly a testament to what you do for Coastal Horizons. Thank you very much. It is now time for us to announce this year's recipient. This person can be described by their supervisor and peers as a significant driving force for so much of the miracle work that occurs at Justice Services. This person started working with the Reset program back in 2019 and hit the ground running with endless enthusiasm to help our community members returning from incarceration. They walk side by side with participants to help them tackle the barriers of substance use and justice involvement in reentry. In 2020, this person accepted the position of Source Linkage Coordinator and took their passion for helping others and expanded it to include individuals returning from incarceration from all over the state. This individual continues to build relationships with community partners and represents Coastal Horizons and our Justice Services Department in a positive light. This year's recipient will celebrate 14 years in recovery next month and is a walking testament They are a walking testament to why we need Coastal and Justice Services programming. This employee embraces all individuals for the very things that make them so unique. They don't judge, but rather motivate and encourage autonomy for program participants. They treat people the very same, with unwavering respect. Additionally, they work from such a humble place and are always willing to go beyond the call of duty and helping those in need. One day, this person may be talking to a group of state-level stakeholders, and the next they are physically driving participants to and walking them to the door at outpatient treatment services. Aside from being fully committed to the program participants and staff, this person is committed to making the office environment welcoming and enjoyable for all. They work closely with their peers to create and host Justice Services events that serve the community and build rapport among staff members. This person is always smiling, laughing, and ready to lend a hand to anyone who walks through the door. I can tell you, I saw firsthand what this individual does in working with those who are in Justice Services as I attended a recent Source Reset graduation. They are incredible, and it is my honor and privilege to announce this year's Flowstein Award recipient is Billy McGowan.
And so, Billy, I also just want to say to you that I noticed at the graduation that there were many family members that were there to support the graduate. And I'm pleased to share with you that as this year's recipient, you too have a family member here to support you, and that is your wife.
Congratulations. I would now like to take the opportunity to recognize Margaret Willer Sargel. We'll try to keep it together. Margaret, thank you for your incredible strength, resiliency, fortitude to continue to lead us, the Coastal Horizons Center. We're forever grateful. We're as good because you're good. We're good because you're good. It's just hard to say. Behind the scenes, we see the Margaret that is the feisty. She is going to take her earrings off. She's going to throw somebody down on the mat. And we are forever grateful for your leadership. So thank you very much. We have you some flowers behind you. Thank you. Now I would like to have Bo Jean come up for our benediction, and then we'll be adjourned.
Okay, so to lead out of here today, I would like all of you to rise in either body and or spirit as you're able. So please rise. And in keeping in mind of where we're going with the COVID and everything, I'm not going to have you hold hands, but I want you to do something for me. First, before I introduce this, I want you to do this and this. This and this, okay? In resilience practice, we do these things called help nows or rapid resets. And when you do one, what you're doing is you're doing an action that then you're tracking in or sensing into your body to help reset your nervous system when you're under a lot of stress or you're going through a lot, etc. And the idea is to make that shift from something that's uncomfortable or unpleasant to those neutral sensations that help you to be well and to get through in a more positive way. We call these, you can do a walk, you can take a sip, you can count the colors in the room, etc. We're going to add a help now to this today. So as we lead out of this room today and create the good in the world that you all are creating on a regular basis, I want you to add the Stargel to your reset. So when the world is coming at you and the stress is happening in your life and you see what is coming in your world, I don't care if you are a man or a woman, you put your hand on your right ear and you rip that earring off. You rip that left earring off and you say, not today, Satan, not today. And you feel that in your body. Let that go into the world and have a wonderful time. Amen. Hey, you. Hey, how are you? Good job, always.
Killed it. Absolutely killed it. The Stargel.
I didn't know where you were going.
Gotta do that one.